Day 4. The power levels. The power levels are rising. I squatted 396 pounds. Did the conversion, 180 kilos, 396 pounds. Current body weight, 92 kilos. Can't tell you what that is in pounds, but it's close to double my body weight. What I'm noticing since I started eating more red meat, consuming a lot more protein, ever since I did my fast, I'm actually feeling hungry again for the first time in, it's honestly been years since I've actually felt hungry. Previous times when I've tried to bulk, I've had to force myself to eat. Made myself sick, gave myself digestion issues, I was getting very bloated, getting a gut, it was horrible. But since doing that fast, it feels like I've actually reset my metabolism. It feels like it's operating like it's meant to. I feel hungry throughout the entire day. I'm consuming a lot of steak, started eating a lot of rice, a lot of fruit. Then I go and train, do a 90-minute to 2-hour session, and I go hard. I go full power for almost 2 hours. And then I come back and I'm ravenous. I want to eat more steak, more rice. I feel like I'm changing on a cellular level. I feel like my level of fear is diminishing. My level of care is diminishing. For example, I just saw looks like about a 6-foot python just a few feet away from my bed. I'm starting to communicate in feet rather than meters because I know most of you guys are from the States. And it just really didn't faze me, this huge snake. I live in the woods, as you guys call it. We call it the bush. I live amongst nature, and I live in a very rustic house, which I built myself out of wood. And there's a lot of places that critters can climb through. And I've just been seeing huge spiders. I went into the bathroom to brush my teeth just the other day, and there was 4 huntsman spiders. These things are about this big. They range from about that big up to about that big. 4 of them, just one on the mirror, one on the wall, another one in the shower, just all looking at me like, hey, what are you doing here? I'm like, this is my bathroom. What are you doing here? Now, spiders have been one that have caused me a lot of anxiety in the past, but now it's just like, they're my housemates. Just accept it. I'm feeling like this baseline level of fear is just getting smaller and smaller. And this applies to seeing spiders, and it also applies to how I feel about life. Existential dread, uncertainty, not knowing, wanting to know What's going to happen next? Where am I going? All of this stuff, it's starting to just sound like more of the same. It's just starting to sound like a broken record playing in my head. Whereas before, it caused me a lot of anxiety. Now it's just like, it's just noise. Now I'm on day 5 after a 4 or 5, I'm not really tracking it, after a night release. And it was interesting, you know, because I got hit twice in a row, 2 nights in a row out of nowhere. And I feel like there's some stuff happening with brothers all around the world right now. I feel like there's a cultural shift taking place. There's a shift in the collective. There's a shift in masculinity right now, which is very inspiring. Seeing all these guys in their early 20s embracing this path. I hope you guys realize this has never happened before. This has never been a thing. What we've had before is religious guilt mongering, fear mongering, shoulds. You should be sexually pure, you should be chaste because it's what God wants you to do, or it's what you should do, or it's the right thing to do. But I'm seeing so many men getting wiser and wiser and doing this for themselves, not an external force, not an external reason, not just to get women, not just to please a deity, although I admire that. But I'm seeing more and more of you embracing this path because you feel a connection in your soul to this path. It's real. It's authentic. It's embodied. It's coming from a place of purity within you. And because it's coming from this place, from this embodied place, it's something that's going to last. It's not a fad. It's not a temporary fix. And it makes you wonder where this is going. What is this all leading up to? If we take this practice to its logical conclusion, I'm getting more and more comfortable with silence and space. And I know this makes a lot of you uncomfortable. A lot of you been commenting and saying you need to talk faster. The reality is you need to break your addiction to stimulus. I've been doing it too. I'll watch these videos and I'll watch video after video. I'll listen to video after video after video. Always trying to fill in the gaps. But the silence speaks louder than words. And anything worth truly knowing cannot be conveyed with words. This is why the Zen Buddhists could never really teach what Zen was. Any attempt to describe the ineffable will always be nothing more than a finger pointing at the moon. As we go further and further on this journey, we're going to start to realize that silence contains everything we're looking for. Out of the silence comes everything. The universe appears in space. Each day I'm wondering to myself what I talk about on the next video. And different ideas come to me. But more and more, I feel like it's not what I say that really matters. It's not coming up with some new information, not presenting some epiphany that I've had. It's simply reflecting back to you my experience, what I'm becoming, what I am. Because when you ask yourself, what are you really looking for? in these videos. You're looking for motivation. You're looking to see someone who's got something that you want. Isn't that right? You're looking to see someone who's embodying what you hope will happen to you. You're looking for a reflection of a version of yourself that you know is inside. And you want another reason to bring that version of yourself to the surface. The truest version. You want to be who you really are. Practicing SR, training, changing your diet, working on yourself. These are all strategies that you're employing in hopes of bringing this version of yourself out. Is that not so? That's how it is for me. Now, the problem with all of these strategies, the reason that Tyler Durden says self-improvement is masturbation, the very thing that we're trying to avoid here, we can fall into a trap, a self-improvement trap, where we're continuously pushing the highest version of ourselves into the future. When I hit my 90-day streak, then I'll be confident. When I gain another 20 pounds of muscle, then I'll like myself. When I'm making 20 grand a month, then I'll be free. It's this endless human dilemma, telling ourselves a story that one day we can be who we really want to be. When the reality is, if you can just You know what? Let's take away if you can, because that's conditional again. Now that you are embracing silence, embracing suffering, something which you've been very good at avoiding up until very recently. Now that you are facing these demonic aspects of yourself, you're beginning to realize that you are it now. Right in this moment, you are everything you're looking for. It's not when you get to heaven. It's not when you become enlightened. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is in the present. The only time that enlightenment is you already know what I'm going to say. So as we continue on this journey, and we will continue, we are realizing that it never was out there. It never was in the female attraction. It never was in getting attention, getting praise. It never was in when I break this habit, when my conditions change. It was always here and now. This is the gift of silence. I'm starting to become so at home in silence and emptiness and space. Something that I always thought was terrifying is now revealing itself to be the very nature of peace. Start now dropping all of this extra stuff. Just cut off all of the exit points, all of the shiny objects and activities that you run to, which you know in your heart are pulling you away from the silence. Begin now to let yourself relax into it. I don't know if you ever notice when you're bored or in between activities that you start to feel very tense. Start noticing how emptiness affects you and start relaxing. It's okay. I don't have to do anything right now. I don't have to plan anything right now. I don't have to think about anything right now. I can just be. It's terrifying for the ego. But that doesn't matter. Let yourself become spacious. The more you do this, the more you realize that this is extremely masculine. To be spacious, to be empty. Not in the sense of being drained, but in the sense of being empty. Because this emptiness contains everything. Shakti appears in the void. The feminine dances her dance in the empty space of Shiva. Consciousness. Symbolized as death. Symbolized as life. You begin to encompass all of the opposites. They start to come home and resolve themselves within you. Life, death, masculine, feminine, hot, cold, hard, soft. All of these dualities are all contained within the silence.